Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us in another Cafecito and Conversation. My name is Domenica Escatel. I am your host, and thank you for joining us today. I am so excited. I have an amazing guest, and we're going to dive into the topic of the Latino vote. And it's like especially perfect, but today is National Vote Early Day. And so let me introduce you to my guest, Congressman Josh Harder. Josh and his wife Pam live in Turlock, where Josh grew up and delivered newspapers for the Turlock Journal. Josh is currently serving his first term in Congress. And on behalf of families in the Central Valley, where he's fighting to protect our access to healthcare, create good paying jobs, and reform our broken immigration system. He's also focused on securing and growing the Valley's water supply. Josh is inspired by his parents, Mark and Linda, who met on a mission trip and have lived a lifetime of service in their community. Josh picked up the family torch to bring the same spirit of service to Washington, where he's desperately needed. So with that said, let's bring on Josh.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. Good to see you.
Yeah, nice to see you too, Josh. Thank you for being here, and I'm so excited to dive into the topic of the Latino vote. So the 2020 election marks the first time that Latinos will be the largest racial or ethnic minority in the electorate. With 32 million eligible voters, the deadline to register to vote has passed in California. But for those that are registered, where do they start? Like, what would be the next step?
Sure. So first of all, even if you're not registered, you still can register. The deadline to get a mail-in ballot has passed, but you can still register in person. You can go to valley.vote or check out your local registrar to make sure you can vote all the way up until Election Day, even if you're not registered today. But it is going to be looking a little bit different for folks. If you are already registered to vote, you should have gotten a ballot in the mail. The best and most easiest way to vote is to sign that ballot, complete it in black ink, sign, put it back in the post office, and make sure it gets sent back. Or you can also drop it off in person at some of the official ballot box locations in Stanislaus and in San Joaquin counties. The best way to learn and see all of those wherever they are valley.vote as well. Valley.vote.
Okay, that's perfect. Yeah, I know I've already used the map because I wasn't sure where my Dropbox was. So I love that resource.
It's a little different this year because I think, some folks are expecting to go to their typical polling place locations that they've gone to every year. Most of those are going to be closed. And so, right. The easiest is just to put it in the mailbox. And if you don't want to do that, then you can go to one of these official ballot box locations and find one near you.
Yeah, that's great. And so I was talking to some friends in the community, and one of the things that we were having a conversation with was, how do we overcome the challenge of making people see the connection between that and our current president and his agenda, and understanding that voting is part of how we change what is the current reality for so many Latinos?
Yeah, well, I totally get that politics often seems very disconnected from our daily lives. I often think the biggest challenge that we have is it's not somebody else on the ballot, it's the forces of apathy and cynicism that causes people, especially Latinos in our community, to think that sometimes they don't have a voice in the political process. The antidote to that cynicism and that apathy is making politics personal. I ran for office because of my younger brother, David. He was born 10 weeks premature. He would have been kicked off his health insurance if the Affordable Care Act was repealed. Everybody in our community has a loved one with asthma, cancer, God forbid, somebody who's recovering from COVID. And we need to make sure that everybody understands that the ability of that loved one to go out and get a doctor, get a COVID test, the ability of dreamers in our community to have a pathway to citizenship, the opportunity to make sure that we're getting more high-paying jobs for young people in our community. Those are the most important issues to the Central Valley and to our Latino community. And those are all on the ballot. Whether you have a dreamer that sits next to you in math class, whether you have a loved one that suffers from cancer, you got to vote to make sure that person has their interests represented, and you as well.
Right. I know that I was part of a cohort about 2 years ago that gave me the opportunity to go and advocate at Washington, D.C. And I being here, being a Central Valley native, like I wasn't aware that I had that power of just to go to the Capitol and be able to meet with my legislative team and express my concerns. Because coming from a family, I have a nephew who is asthmatic, and I have a mom who's a diabetic. So the Affordable Health Care Act is so important to me. And so I love that you share that, because these are real issues that affect people that we love and that we know. And it's like being able to say, yes, you can, you have the power, and it starts with voting.
Yeah, and the way that I think about it is, look, if you don't have a seat at the table, then you're on the menu. That means your interests are not being represented.
Right.
People are still going to make decisions about healthcare, about immigration, about education. But if you don't vote, then those people making those decisions aren't going to take in consideration your interests, your voice, and the interests of your loved ones. And so, whatever those interests may be, but if you want to make sure that we're fighting for immigration justice in the Valley, that we're fighting to make sure that everybody can go out and see a doctor, especially in the midst of what we've been dealing with this year, then you got to vote and make sure that vote counts, because,
Right.
It does.
No, it so does. And I know that our Latino community is preoccupied with what I would say survival issues. They have to work, they're out in the fields. So how can we help them realize that they can take the time to go out and vote?
Yeah, you're right. Our Latino community has been hit really hard by COVID. About close to 65% of all the positive cases in Stanislaus County have come from our Latino community. And part of that is just that Latino workers are more often on the front lines, whether that's in the fields or in the grocery stores or in the hospitals. They are really doing the essential jobs that ensure that our community continues to run. And so I understand folks who say that they have a lot on their plate, that there has been so much pain and suffering across our community this year. I think that's more reason to vote, because the best way that we can get this pandemic under control is if we have leaders that take it seriously, leaders that push for the public policy efforts to get more tests out there, to get those test results coming back quickly. I created the Central Valley PPE initiative that's all around getting, we've got 50,000 masks that have gone out to frontline workers, to farm workers and healthcare workers across our community to make sure we're keeping them safe. But we have to do more. And if you believe that we have to do more, then you have to vote. And the good news is it doesn't take a lot of time. I did it from my kitchen table. It took less than 2 minutes. It really is a very easy and simple process. You can do it, with your cafecito right
here. And right here, got it.
and then send it back, and you're done. And the impact that it has in elections that could be decided by a couple hundred votes or even fewer is a real big deal.
Right, that's so true. I know we voted as a family just in the kitchen table with the cafecito and going over the props and our local candidate. So it really can be an opportunity to also kind of pave the way for the next generation. Because I know my niece, my nephew was watching us as we were talking about why we're going to vote for this person. So absolutely love that. And I believe that it could be definitely a tradition that, we do it as a family.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I know that it wasn't until I was an adult that I realized that I can get involved with different campaigns. And it was really because I had a friend who was running for office and she invited me to join. And I thought, in my world, in the way that I grew up, I thought that was something that other people did. And so when I joined her, I really was introduced to this world that I didn't know. And I didn't know it was so easy as just like text banking, making calls, helping knock on doors. So do you have any suggestions that can give voters or young voters, like, how can you point them in the right direction to go help their local candidates or get involved?
Yeah, well, we need your help. I'm 34 years old. I'm a member of Congress, And I think it shows that you can't get involved too young. And one of the challenges and one of the realities is many of the issues that are affecting our community, be it climate change or the cost of getting an education, getting a good paying job here in the Valley. Young people understand those issues better than anybody else. And so we need those voices represented, and we need folks to stand up and to get involved. It's really easy. The best thing the best advice I'd have is get involved with people that you're passionate about. Find your passion, and make sure that those are the areas you're spending time on. It's going to be a lot more impactful if you are very closely tied with how you feel and the impact it's going to have on your life. Wherever you are, I mean, if you are interested in our campaign, you can go to harderforcongress.com. We have a great volunteer effort that's largely driven, or in many ways driven, by young people across the Central Valley who are getting involved. But it doesn't have to be a congressional race. It could be a city council race, a mayoral race. It could be even at your local school, setting up a club that makes sure that your interests are well represented. But again, I think that the important lesson here is you can't stand on the sidelines, because politics is going to move with or without you. And if it moves without you, that means that what you passionately believe in, whatever that is, climate change, healthcare, immigration, that your voice is not going to be heard. And your voice needs to be heard if you're going to be counted.
Right. Ooh, Josh, you have me all fired up right now.
All right.
I love it. And so I feel like even just volunteering, it could be simple as, I saw your team through social media even just give out COVID kits. Like, I love that. I saw them passing out to local immigrants. Like, I saw them really in the community, with the Latino community involved in and getting out the word about COVID. And so I feel like the opportunities can be simple as that. Is there any other opportunities that you see that the community may not know of that they can get involved with?
Yeah, well, I'll make a quick plug here for, some of the other leaders that exist across our community. I think there's oftentimes a lot of folks whose work doesn't go recognized. And so for Hispanic Heritage Month, I established the first annual Latino Leadership Awards in the Central Valley. The idea here is, there are so many folks who are working, whose work is also often not seen, often not recognized. And those people are doing incredible things. And we had four leaders that were recognized, including somebody at Stan State, Paulette Hernandez, who's done a lot of incredible work working with the undocumented community at Stan State. A woman at Ariana at NMJC, who's done some great work there. Yamilet, who's done work with Golden Valley, and her impact has been felt by everybody. And then Marvin Jacobo, who's done some great things with the City Ministry Network. And my goal with this effort, identifying these leaders, was to showcase role models, especially for young people to look up to, and to say, look, hopefully you're getting involved in politics, but these are also people who are doing great things. Get involved with them, talk to them, learn from them, and work with them if that's what inspires you, or try to take the way that they've grown their careers and have it be used for you. So I would really recommend for young people who are looking to get involved to talk to those people that we've identified and pitch in, because our community, especially in a time when so many people are being hurt from COVID, needs your help now more than ever.
Right. No, I love that. And thank you for pointing that out, because I know Yamilet very well and I love her and definitely look up to her. There's some amazing, amazing people in this community. And it really is what drives me to keep going and doing the work that I do. Because it took me a long time to realize, like, oh my gosh, we have hidden gems here in the community. Like, who are they?
Yeah.
So I love that. And actually, that's a very good topic. I know that a third of young Latinos registered to vote cannot name one politician who goes out of their way to support their community. So according to a poll published actually this week by BuzzFeed and Telemundo, when asked to name a political figure who has grown up for the Latino community or shown up for the Latino community, The most consistent answer was nobody. And at 33%, that followed by Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and so on. So I definitely want to take advantage to acknowledge you, Josh, for being able to do that and honor the Hispanic Heritage Month, because really that's the first time that I can see locally that somebody really showed up for us. And so I wanted to say thank you.
Well, of course, I hear you, and I agree. We have a lack of leaders that have, I think, really uplifted the voices of our Latino community, and I think that's one of the reasons for the apathy and the cynicism that we call. But I have a lot of hope for young people. I spent a lot of time at our high school, at our high schools at Stan State and MJC, and what I hear is young people that are motivated by issues. They care a lot about mental health care. They care a lot about climate change, healthcare, immigration, but oftentimes they don't see politics as a way to move those issues forward. And I think one of the things that we need to really have people understand is the lives of your loved ones is going to be impacted by the political process. And so you really need to make sure that if you don't have to be passionate about a political party. You don't even have to be passionate about a particular candidate. But as long as you're passionate about issues, you have to be able to channel what you care about, what you want to see in the world into the political process, because oftentimes that's the best way at scale to change things into the way you want them to be.
No, I love that. And that is so true. And really at the heart of all this, I feel like it's action, right? Because we can be upset about what's going on. We can express that all over social media, but it starts with action. And again, the foundation of that, I feel like it's voting. It's just vote. Please vote, vote, vote.
That's right. That's right. And get everybody in your family to vote.
Right.
Get everybody at your school group or club or workplace to vote as well. My race in 2018 was decided by one vote for every volunteer. Most volunteers changed, tens or hundreds of votes, but that was the difference in our election. And so, I know the power of young people. We were able to triple youth turnout in 2018. That's the only reason that I'm in the position I am today. I know how impactful it is. And it's not just voting yourself, it's making sure that you create a movement to ensure that nobody is left on the sidelines.
Oh, that's so good. A movement. And that's really what it is, right? Like you just ask your abuelita, your tío, your tía, your primo. Like it just starts with one family member and then all of a sudden involve everybody. And that is the movement. That's the power that we hold, really.
That's it. Absolutely.
Yeah. So is there any advice that you can give Latino voters on asking the right questions to candidates so they know the issues that matter to them are being heard? Yeah.
Ask questions that are directly related to your life and the life of your loved ones. Again, I think this comes down to people understanding how public policy and how the political process affects their lives every day. It feels very disconnected. I mean, my main job in Washington is oftentimes to remind people that California is more than San Francisco and Los Angeles, that we have a unique set of needs in the Valley that often go ignored. And the best way to do that is to be talking about the individual lives of folks that we've met. I mean, when I was at MJC, I had a dreamer in my classroom who was working two part-time jobs, wanted to grow up and be a pharmacist, live the American dream, but she was carried over the border when she was 3 months old and, doesn't know what her future holds even today. There are 10,000 kids with a story just like that. And so if you want to understand how politicians are going to deal on the issues that matter most, talk to them about whatever you're passionate about. Talk to them about, that dreamer that sits next to you at church or at your work. Talk to them about the healthcare concerns of the people that you loved. As you mentioned, you have people in your family with asthma. Everybody in the Valley has a family member that has been affected by asthma. I had childhood asthma growing up, and so have the political process reflect, the issues that matter most to you. And then this is the most important part: hold those political leaders accountable for that answer.
Yes, most definitely. Wow, Josh, thank you so much for being able to share this time with me over Cafecito and just chatting about the Latino vote, because it is so imperative. And I know that we are a strong majority. And I've seen you firsthand being able to just outreach in this community. And I want to thank you for that, because that just, for you to be able to show up for us just speaks volumes. And I'm just so honored that you'll be able to come in and come here this morning and being able to just speak about the topic, because it's so much needed. And, I'm currently in Empire, and we have a strong demographic of Latinos here. And it just being able to just spread the word about voting. And as simple as even also having conversations. And this is what I love about being able to offer this platform, is that we're just having a conversation and we're talking about things that matter. And hopefully with that, anybody that is viewing us, will be inspired to say, you know what? Yes, I can be a part of that movement to go out and vote.
Yeah,
so John,
absolutely. And thank you for all that you built with Cafecito and Conversation. I think, and with Chicana Inc., I think it's really so inspiring to me to see leaders grown up from our community, who are staying in our community and making it a better place for everybody. And I know you're an inspiration to a lot of young Latinas out there. Thank you for all the work that you've done. And, we'll do everything we can to continue to make sure that more voices are representative of our community and people realize the diversity that exists in the Central Valley.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for that. That means a lot. So as we wind down our time together, because I know that we can probably go another hour with this topic, is there any last words that you want to share with anybody, or anything we didn't cover? And then also, please do the plug for how everyone can connect with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say get involved. There are 9 days left when we're recording this for the election. You can go to valley.vote to learn all the information you need on the ballot drop-off locations, everything else. But it is super simple. It took me 2 minutes. Take your ballot, sign it in black ink, seal it, put it back in the mailbox, and you're done. And it is incredibly important, because if you are frustrated by the political landscape that we have right now, if you're frustrated by the political leadership that we have, I don't blame you. But you have to do something about it. And in races that could be decided by a very small number of votes, it makes a big difference. If you want to get involved with our effort, or you want to tell me what you're thinking, or tell me some of the things we could be working on, harderforcongress.com, like working harder, easy to remember. You can volunteer there or drop off a comment, an idea, and we'll keep you up in the loop as we keep hustling and sprinting across the finish line here.
Yes. Love it all, Josh. Well, thank you so much. And everybody who is listening, if there's anything that you walk away with today, it is go vote. Please go vote. It's taking that action, and go vote. All right, everyone. We will catch you in the next episode of Cafecito and Conversation. And we will see you next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Josh. Bye.
Thank you. All right. Take care. Stay safe out there.
All right.